Hey, everybody, welcome back to Great Mondays Radio. There's a lot that's being discussed and fretted about when it comes to uh, college graduates, new hires, how they're not getting work because a lot of organizations are uh, using AI to do all the basic research stuff. And it's, I am concerned that we are sacrificing long-term benefits, long-term leadership benefits, and talent cultivation because of this. And I'm actually what I have an amazing founder and creative director on today, Paul Backett. He is the co-founder and creative director of Evolve Agency. It's a design strategy and innovation agency, and they have had for years this really, really powerful and robust internship program that I asked him on to talk about. I think it's really, really interesting. So, Paul, welcome to Great Mondays Radio. Thanks for coming on. I'm so fascinated by this. How long have you been doing? How long has Evolve been around? What kind of work do you guys do? And then tell me about this internship program. What does it look like? How long have you been doing it?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Josh. It's great to be here today. A little bit about us. We're, like you mentioned, we're a design agency. We started about 12 years ago now. I started with two co-founders, which is sometimes an interesting story. They're also two of my best friends. Some people also quite often ask, like, is it difficult running a business with your friends? So maybe we'll get to that later.
Yeah, it could be.
Um, yeah, and we're kind of a human-centered design agency. So basically, that means that we're obsessed with people. So we love kind of getting into the weeds and kind of really learning about our clients' customers. But that also means we're obsessed with our people, right? Like they're really our customers, right? At the end of the day,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we've been running our internship program actually from day one. So it was something that when we started Evolve, we knew it was something we wanted to do. The previous agency I worked at, I ran the internship program there as well. And so already had like kind of a good network in place, connections with schools, things like that. And we'd seen how powerful it can be. So it started there from the start, right? Yeah, like day one, I think we had our first intern within a few months of starting Evolve when there was just three founders and an intern.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what was when you sort of came in, you had seen the power of or the opportunity in internships. What were sort of the what value does it add? Like when you're thinking about what you're like, this is something because you're starting your new own agency, right? And
Yeah.
so you're going to leave behind what doesn't work. You're going to bring forward what does work. What was it about that program that made you go, this is going to be core to who we are? Why? Like, what did you see in that?
Yeah, it kind of starts at like a weird starting point. Like whenever we start with interns, we always make it really clear to them that this internship is for them, right? Like that they're going to get something out of this, and if we get something out of it, then it's a bonus. And that's kind of like a weird place to start with like
Huh.
setting expectations.
Yeah.
Something again we've learned over years and years and years, and it sets us up in a really good place. So we want them to have a great experience. They want them to see what working in an agency is really like, to get that real life experience. That's, you know, the reason we do it is because that's why we're here. Like we're here because people gave us those opportunities when we were young designers breaking into the industry. And so there is definitely a bit of like, it's our job to give back, right? It really is our job to give back. And maybe this is a kind of a weird design industry thing, but like that's just kind of the way things work, I think, in our world. So giving that opportunity is key. And then it's like this incredible, I don't know, bonus or present, like when that person really clicks, right? So we know it almost immediately. Like we know it almost immediately when someone comes in and all of a sudden they're not just kind of listening and playing along, they're actually contributing. And so that magical moment is like when we know that we have a good fit. Actually, I say fit. I don't love the word fit because um, I think that's used a lot in kind of like, are people a good fit for your culture, things like that. And I kind of
Yeah.
like, I like it more to be a little bit like, do we care about the same things? Like, do we have the same value systems? Like something more qualitative than kind of just that word fit. Um, but yeah, so when people really start to contribute, it's really amazing. And we now have kind of come full circle in our internship program that the people, so two of our oldest interns 9 years ago, 11 years ago, who are now in our emerging leadership team, they're now running the internship program. So it's kind of like myself and my business partners are able to actually step out of the internship program, and it runs itself now. So we've kind of created this culture where it has come full circle, and now it kind of runs itself almost.
Have they stayed with the agency the entire time?
Yeah,
They have.
yeah.
Because I
So
could also see like the boomerang effect of like they're here and then they go away and they come back. I mean, that's something I've heard is pretty valuable, right? To kind of, even if people decide that they don't want to do it now, they're like, we know you, you know us.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we're kind of I guess we're also hoping at some point they might start hiring us. When
Right.
when they go
Yeah.
client size, they might start hiring us for some work. But yeah, it's been really kind of a wonderful program. It's helped us build our team. Like at least half of our team has been built from our internship program. And we run kind of like all year round internships. So we always have this kind of thing of like welcoming people to our company and saying goodbye to people on this kind of like regular basis. And I think that keeps us really, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know, like elastic. I don't know. It's like we always have to kind of um, make sure we're saying things in a clear way and helping people understand not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Like it teaches us to look out for people, to be humble. Kind of a whole bunch of like really, really powerful things.
Here's what I find interesting about everything that you've said so far, is a lot of, if I think about, and what I had said in the intro, right? If I think about why a lot of companies have decided to replace people with AI is for cost effectiveness. And I imagine a lot of what organizations and leaders are thinking is, how do I reduce my costs? And they see what they might see, what you're describing, a constant onboarding and offboarding, and then if we were to have a sarcastic tone, a churn
Yeah,
as a burden. But
yeah,
you're articulating it as a benefit.
yeah,
You're describing this as a way for you to continue to stay nimble, and you're not, and I think this is something that we can all learn from, but you're not obsessed with efficiency,
no,
right? And so maybe you can talk a little bit about, I don't know, I mean, just, I don't know, can you just go on, like, tell me a little bit more about kind of, have I got that kind of perspective correct?
yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about your thinking when it comes to, we're here to do this for you and we get some benefit as well. And it's not about scaling up as fast as possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, certainly, like one of our core kind of beliefs over the years has been staying small. Like when we started our agency, we knew that we didn't want to be big. We knew that we didn't want to grow to this kind of big agency that's always chasing work, right? So
How many, just let me stop you. How many people are at Evolve right now?
our sweet spot is 15. So we kind of always said like 15 people is our kind of
Yep.
like where we want
Yep.
to be. We're a little under that
Yep.
now. We've been a little over that in the past, but 15 we think is a great size.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I mean, it's the if you kind of talked about like efficiency, right? Like, and we kind of, I think that's the enemy of creativity,
Yes.
right? Like,
I agree. I yes, 100%
yeah.
agree with that.
And so we're trying to do everything we can to just make sure we're focusing on the work, right? Like we have that strong belief that if we do great work, we get more work. And it doesn't matter how profitable that is, how effectively we push our team through that. Of course, it's important on our client side that we meet their deadlines, that we deliver stuff on time for them so they can kind of look great in their world. But things that we kind of avoid are things like we don't track time, we don't track profitability of individual projects. Like we keep the teams focused on doing great work, right? And so I think that the internship, like kind of a part of that may get back to the internship is that we also believe in kind of education as part of our process. So a bunch of us have kind of taught in the past as well, taught in design
Mm,
education.
mm.
And I would say we're kind of a teaching agency. Like we're not a disappear and come back with a magic answer agency. We like to work really closely side by side with our clients, right? And kind of show them how we do things. There's this kind of bogus thing in design world that people think they've got these like, unique process, and it's like it's all the same. So it's just kind of lies in general. And so yeah, we love working side by side. And I think so if we're going to be a teaching agency with our clients, we have to have that culture within our team as well, right? And so like our internship program gives us that kind of teaching from day one, right? So like our mentors, so the mentors are not the leaders of the company. The mentors are usually our most junior staff for the interns, and so they get an opportunity to teach and learn how to kind of teach as well
Yeah.
as mentoring while the interns are with us. So that kind of yeah, maybe that I don't know, a bit about efficiency and about the internship.
Well, so uh here's I want to kind of explore this um the gap between an agency like yours where creativity is the goal and efficiency is not, and all the ideology, and I feel like a lot of folks who might be listening to this, right, are going to be culture leaders or executive leaders or aspiring executives inside of technology companies, other organizations that aren't exclusively creativity is part of what, I'm sure there's a department of innovation, but I just don't want folks to dismiss the opportunity to kind of what in your experience, because you've worked with a lot of corporate clients,
Yeah,
in your experience, can, what does and doesn't translate? Because there's certainly some things that are just not going to be applicable. But if we're thinking about this mentality, and we'll get back to this idea of the internship or the junior employee in a second, but how how can larger corporate non creative output companies, like, what are the things that you believe that could also be beneficial for another organization?
yeah. Um, a core tenet of our process, and again, this is kind of like a learn thing, but also a reactive thing to like where we worked in the past, is this concept of like play, um, and that being kind of a core tenet of creativity, and that's something that we always try to bring to our clients' teams, and I think that we're very fortunate that almost all of our businesses repeat clients. And I think what happens is when people get a taste of it and see how powerful it can be, they just kind of want more.
Mm,
And so creativity is something I think that like we all do it, right? I have two young children, right? Like, and they're I think I look at them and they're just bursting with ideas, right? Like, and I actually, my general philosophy is like, we're taught not to be creative through our education systems, right? And so we kind of believe that everybody has it deep down inside them. They have this
yeah,
like play and
yeah,
creativity, and it's our job to kind of pull it out of them, right? And so I think, so I would kind of focus on play there. But then kind of similarly to what we talked about with our interns, like the most important thing there is that there's a culture match, right? Like, with us and our clients teams. Like if they don't click with that and they don't see the value of that, then we probably won't keep working with them, right? Like either from
yeah,
our side or from their side. But yeah, so finding that match where we care about the same things, we believe in the same things, we believe in that kind of highly collaborative process of working together. It's really great for most of our clients, but some clients just don't want that.
yeah. So, um, is this, I mean, I trying to extrapolate, right? So of course, like, you're in the creative business, and so play makes sense. We're trying to explore all the ideas. um that to me, I mean, I'm not going to even just ask a leading question. I was going to state my opinion, which is there's there is a balance that needs to be struck between efficiency. Here's our process. This is the way we do it. Bop, 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 bop. And exploration. Could we do it better? And if we stay too long in the structure, it becomes stricture. And so it really just struck me when you were like, oh, it helps us stretch our brains. It feels like there's an opportunity to do more brain breaks or play breaks or something within the year, within the right, to be able to, so we don't just get so in the one channel over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think the we often say like the best games have a lot of rules, right? So there's this thing of like, play doesn't just mean freedom. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It actually means lots of structure, lots of constraints. Like the best games are so like
Mm-hmm.
organized, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
it's not the opposite of efficiency. It's actually they're side by side, right? They work together, right? Like if we can have a lot of structure, a lot of really easy to understand rules and to the games that we play as part of our process,
Yeah.
then we get great results out of them. Um, and yeah, and then I think we like to think that our clients can, you're kind of talking about these brain break moments, like something that we do a lot of that kind of goes through phases of like getting good press and bad press is brainstorming, like generating ideas, right? And so we
Yeah.
definitely believe that like that process of generating ideas needs a ton of structure and a ton of play. It needs both, right, for it to work.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Great. Okay. So there's obviously a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but I want to get back to this idea.
Yes.
So of the young employees. So one of the benefits that I perceive, and I'm hearing from you that maybe you can talk about, is this idea of bringing someone on in a low risk capacity to understand not if they're good at what they do, but if it's good for them and good for the organization. It's so depressing to see how resumes or even the expanded resume of LinkedIn is just such a poor substitute for or a poor representation of one's capacity. It's
Mm.
there's never it can you can list where you went to school, you can list what you've done, you can list your successes, you can even lie about your successes, you can put percentages and numbers, but there's just I can't you can have a million interviews, but until you start working with somebody, I don't feel like and this just strikes me as, and this is something that's tumbling around in my head, but this strikes me as a really interesting way to bring people in and trial, see if it's something. It's like just don't be it's not an assumption that it's going to work because you're amazing. It's like you'll never know until you're actually working with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you like kind of almost what you're saying there is like it's low risk, right? Like, but it's also significant commitment, right? So it's like it doesn't work if there isn't again a lot of structure, a lot of planning, a lot of connections with like the great design schools around the country and around the world like that we're connected with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's an opportunity for us to kind of see if we care about the same things, like see if we love the same things, like if the way we interact with the people around us, with our clients, like it's a way for us to kind of have a check on that. We definitely focus on like our interns are on live projects from day one. So like there is no, I hate this concept of like an intern project where it's like someone joins a company
I
and then
I did it. I was at when I was in school. I took a job. I took an internship at Landor. It was super coveted, and I got to work on some. But like, there was definitely like some intern projects where you're like, "What am I even doing here?"
yeah, it's so broken. Like whenever I hear that, I just feel so sad. Because yeah, we have them on live projects from day one. They're client facing. They're in the meetings. They're hearing everything that we're hearing. They
Yeah,
hear the good stuff, the bad stuff. They hear the challenges. They hear the
yeah,
wins. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think we're trying to just color into some of the story. Do you pay your interns?
absolutely, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a non-negotiable
I
for us.
just wanted to get you on record.
Yeah, 100%. And we regularly review kind of internship rates and make sure that we're, again, offering a more than fair pay for their time here in Portland. And we do them in person as well. Maybe that's an important thing to say. We
Uh,
all of our interns come to Portland to work with us.
um, so the other thread that I want to highlight is that a few of your interns are now in your leadership team,
Yeah.
and I want to like like counter structure that with some conversations I'm having with clients where it's like, well, you hire people and it's hard to get rid of them, and it's like sometimes it just doesn't work out or whatever. But the way that this is working and the way that I'm my hypothesis around making sure that we continue to invest in young employees is that's how you can build a really hardworking and productive staff. Is that, I mean, is that how you think about it? Like, what, I don't know. I mean, this is, it's just, that's what's coming to me, right? I'm like, fuck, we are going to screw this up so bad if we don't bring these, because what do you expect them to do? Like, then you're like, oops, now we need a senior manager. Like, there's going to be lesser and fewer of them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot less success bringing in senior people over the years. You know, we've tried it a few times, but like we've just kind of learned that like the best way to grow our team, to build our team, has been through this investment in youth
Yeah.
and in young designers. Um, and I think like, you know, your podcast is about culture. I think it's more than hardworking that you mentioned. Like it's about like establishing a way of being while we're here, right? And so they become the tenants of that, right? Because they kind of received that when they were interns. They've gone through the process of mentoring other interns. They've grown as designers. They've grown in kind of leading projects and working with clients. And now they become the stewards. And to be honest, they keep us honest. They keep us, the founders, the owners, honest, right? Like if things are off or don't feel right, they call us out on it and they tell us, hey, like this is this isn't right.
Yeah.
And so they're definitely like it's incredible gut check for us because like they've really, I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, a youth player in a football team, a soccer team for you all. Like they kind of grow up in that culture of that team, and then they become the leaders, and that kind of they set the way of play for the rest of the team. So I think that's the real value we get from it, as well as, you know, they do great work because we identified early on that they're amazing designers, right? We can see that almost immediately when
Yeah.
we start working with them.
The sport metaphor is pretty good,
Yeah.
right? Where you have the development team and they, there's just this opportunity and you, the inherent, so here's what's kind of underlying this whole thing is the inherent tension between short and long-term
Yeah.
value. And there's, there's corporations and companies that are just trying to drive down costs and increase profitability just to get to the next quarter and the next year. And I feel like one of the challenges, the modern challenges of business today, is the lack of foresight and investment in future opportunities. And I think the best companies have the wherewithal and the vision to do that. And this is, I think, another example of that. So, my question for you, and some of it's come up already, how would we make the case? How might we, let's just do a little play brainstorm right now. How might we make the case to a mid-size, um, let's call it, I don't know, that there, I guess a lot of AI is taking junior jobs at like law firms, right? So research and all that stuff. How might we make the case to a mid-sized law firm that they should continue to hire uh, smart folks out fresh out of college? What is their short-term benefit, right? How do we pre-butt the argument? It's gonna be too expensive. We could save so much money if we don't do that.
So just focusing on the short term or like kind of,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do is like let's go right into like what's the benefit to immediate benefit, and then we can kind of grow out from that. But it's like we want to make the case, right? Because
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not going to change their perspective to be like, it's like, yes, of course we want to make, hey, look in the future, but like right now, hire this person. Why is that going to be beneficial this year?
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe a bit non-specific, but like I just think I always believe like new perspectives are essential, right? So like you bring someone into the company, like I don't know, I think of like this is another like analogy I use is like our company is like Jello, right? Like, and when we bring someone into the Jello, it jiggles. Right, so we get this jiggle in our company, right? Like, and sometimes that's, because they're like, people don't like them, but most of the time it's because they've brought something really interesting, a new perspective, a new outlook. a new set of skills, a new ability that we didn't have before, right? So like we want that jiggle, right? Like, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna like counteract this with like, I don't think what we've done like can be achieved in the short term. I think it's a long-term commitment that we made. You know, like we knew we'd already seen the long-term value of it from previous agencies, right? And so
Yeah.
we knew it was worth investing in from the start. And I think if people don't really care about it and really believe in it and are willing to put the work into it to make it work, it won't work. So it's kind of like to have the short-term benefits, I think you have to have the long-term vision and commitment for it. Um,
I think that new perspective is really, I actually think you're giving it a bit of short shrift. I think there is, there are too many organizations that can't get out of their own way.
mm,
And they are driving towards one thing, being more efficient, being good, more profitable or whatever. And when you bring new people in, you're right, they do bring new perspectives. And the wrong thing to do is try to beat that out of them, right? Here's how we do it.
oh yeah,
Right? Here's what we do.
yeah, absolutely. You know, we want them to. I mean, like last year's a good example. Like last year was a tough year for us. Like, I mean, I think everybody's hurting out there in the small business world and agency world. It's difficult. It's really hard right now. And we had to make the really tough decision to pause our internship program for a little while. And we missed it. Like we really deeply missed
Yeah.
it. Right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
started it again in the fall last year. And this wonderful intern that joined us just brought new energy. Right? Like, and people were suddenly like back clicking in to like, oh, this is why we do this. This is why this is important, right? So like people saw it, they felt it, that energy kind of like reinvigorated us. So like, yeah, I definitely like it's not always easy, you know, like it's not always an easy choice to make, but we've seen such huge value over the years.
I love this concept, and I love being able to talk to somebody who has the experience to be able to articulate what we're missing, what we
Mm.
might be missing if we are going to, not bring on new young folks. In You're sacrificing that kind of new perspective. And I don't know, this, I just thought this was really interesting. um before we wrap up, talk to me about surfboards.
Surfboards. Yeah, so this is actually like I was kind of I was Chris I think had mentioned that we should talk about this, and this is kind of almost like a bit of a failure for us, I think, over the years, to be honest. Like, so everyone that comes to our office, we do a little tour and they see that we have a rack of surfboards. The story actually comes from one of our Australian clients, and we went to visit them, and they live right by Bells Beach, like the best surfing beach in the world, right? And one of their senior leaders in that company, we were kind of walking down. They can literally walk to the end of their street and like check out the waves and decide if they want to go surfing. And he was talking to this like new designer that had joined their team, and he said, the most important thing you need to know while you're here is that you're here to surf, right? He didn't talk about the work. He didn't talk about like doing great projects, delivering great products, you know, like talked about you're here to surf. And if you focus on that, everything else will be fine, right? So we just love that kind of that concept and that feeling. So we have a number of people in the company that surf, and so we bought a bunch of surfboards, right? And so we have surfboards, we have wetsuits, and we keep an eye on the weather, especially in the nicer times of the year. And if it looks good, everyone kind of packs up on a Friday and we go out to the beach for an afternoon, you know. Not everybody surfs, you know, like some people get in the water, some people just hang out. But the failure here is that like I think over the years it gets harder, right? Like, it's kind of like we almost talk about this idea of like forced fun, but it gets harder to do those things, right? Especially as you get bigger and you get more work and you get more busier, right? Like, and I think at times we forgot to do that.
Yes.
So we're kind of
Yes.
but the cool thing is the surfboards are always there. So like we're always reminded that we're not doing it if we're not doing it. But then when we
Yeah.
use it, it's great. And you know, like I guess the happy end of the story is we did do a beach day last week. So we haven't completely forgotten it. But yeah, I kind of remind maybe the reminder is like have something that makes you do these fun things. Like it really was something that kind of built us when we were small up to where we are. And like
Yeah.
just can't forget that, you know, and make sure we keep doing it.
I love it because it's an authentic example of a ritual.
Yeah.
And right, it's not, I disagree that it's for, I mean, I understand what you're saying where it's like, hey, this is something we've always done, but it feels very authentic to me if you're like, we're going to go to the beach day. And I think forced fun would be everybody has to go surfing, right? But it's like, just no, it's a beach day. It's not a surf, it's a beach day. We're gonna go. We love doing it. It's important to do. We're gonna make the time to do it. And that those are some of the best, most powerful rituals, is the one are the ones that really are uh organic and come from a history. There's a story,
Yeah.
right? When you have a new intern, what's the deal with the surfboards? Oh, Paul says, I'm so glad you asked, right? You're like, and then you're going to tell the story, and that reveals to a client, an intern,
Yeah.
whatever it is, about the organization and what you value. And that, I think, is really, really powerful. Paul Backett, a co-founder, creative director of Evolve. You can check his work out, amazing work, at evolve.agency, a design strategy and innovation agency. And just a reminder, if you want to check us out on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel, so just look for Great Mondays. You can see the antics and the interactions and see what Paul looks like, and how we have matching beards. I didn't tell him. Mine's a little grayer than his, but that's okay. So anyways, Paul, amazing. Thank you for talking to us. I appreciate you making the time. Really interesting conversation. I think we're going to continue to have, hopefully we continue to have him push back against the onslaught of efficiency and the spirit of play and creativity. Amazing to have you on Great Mondays Radio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Josh.